Welcome to the kingdom, a kingdom of righteousness.
Alright, shalom, shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Radash. Secondly, I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and righteousness and in sincerity. And third of all, I want to give salutations to the hopeful elect that's out on the highways and the byways teaching and preaching this word in truth and in sincerity. And this is going to be a quick hit through the spirit. The title of this lesson is going to be, how do we enter into our chambers? Once again, how do we enter into our chambers? Now I'm going to start this lesson off with the book of Isaiah chapter 26 verse 20, and it reads, "Come my people being the children of Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that is the people of God, you know, the children of God, who were chosen before the foundation of the earth to be separate from all of the other nations that are not within, you know, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, from the Puerto Ricans to the Dominicans to the Haitians to the African Americans, of course, you know, so-called blacks, to the Seminole Indians, to the Native Americans. We are all Israelites. And this is who this is speaking to, but specifically to the elect of the nation of Israel, that small number out of every tribe of the nation of Israel that has been chosen to be saved, while the majority of the nation of Israel will perish here due to them serving Esau Edom, aka the spiritual demon Satan, and not serving their power. But we have been commanded, speaking to myself firstly, to come out of this place and, you know, to seek the Lord. So it says in the book of Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 20, "Come my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee." So when it comes to the chambers that we have been commanded to enter into, what is that chamber? That chamber is the truth. And it says, shut thy doors about thee. So seal yourself within the chambers, you know. Now, on the other end, those chambers will be the so-called UFOs that will beam up the elect before that nuclear fire touches them. And that will, you know, be the ultimate chamber that the elect will enter into, which is the fellowship with Yahweh Shai. But as of right now, we are entering into our spiritual chambers, which is our lot in this truth. Whatever position we have been chosen to be within in the ministry of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, we are entering into that position, you know, and we are shutting the doors about us, which is, you know, sealing ourselves, sealing our hearts within the truth, you know, completely letting go of our old passions and our old dreams and aspirations from this society and replacing it with life, you know, with living substance, which is, you know, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai that fills us with true benefits, the fruits of the spirit, the knowledge of the kingdom, the knowledge of our enemies. These are the things that comes with us entering into our chambers. But when you go into that word chambers, because it says come out of her, it says, "Come my people, enter thou into thy chambers." So when you go into that word chambers, it means chamber, room, parlor. Now let's grab some of these in the dictionary. Chamber means a large room used for formal or public events. A private room. It says a private room, especially a bedroom. Right, and this is a private room, this truth, because not all people has been given this truth to understand it. Even though everybody can read the Bible, the only true and living understanding of the Bible has not been given to everybody.
Hey, Copilot, adjust all these recipes for 7 guests and combine them into one.
So, this room is private. And at the end of the day, we hope and pray that we remain within it. Because even if we are within it right now, that don't mean we will remain within it up until the end. It says parlor. It says a sitting room in a private house. Right. This is the room, this truth we are sitting within. That's why the scriptures say endure unto the end. That's us sitting within this truth and continuing to believe in it up until we are delivered. And that room is within the house of the Lord. We all have our own room within the house of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. And we have been commanded to remain within that room, which is us keeping our faith and enduring up until Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi frees us from this captivity. So that chamber is going into this truth. So it says, and shut thy doors about thee, hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed. Right, the righteous anger of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Us going through Jacob's trouble, the elect will be hidden within the chambers of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, within the truth of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. So they are going to be protected from that part of the indignation, which is Jacob's trouble. People one person rising up against another with weapons to steal each other's goods or to kill each other. All manners of judgments and evils are going to be dished out. Plagues and pestilence, famines, all manners of things are going to be happening in these last days. But the elect will be, even before the nukes drop, will be within the chambers of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, and they will be protected. It says, and hide thyself as it were for a little moment. And that's going into being prudent. And I'm going to grab that scripture right quick, because this is going into being a prudent man, Now this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 3, and it reads, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Right. So the prudent man, he sees the evil coming in advance. We are seeing the evils right now. We're seeing the prophecies that were told to us before the foundation of the earth, that were spoken before the world was created, and that has been spoken right now in these times and in times in the past. We are seeing these prophecies coming to pass on the highest level. So we see that the evil is soon to come. Therefore, Lord willing, if we be the elect, we will continue to hide ourselves, and we will be hidden when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi removes this grace and, really begins to judge with zero mercy. So it says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil. Prudent means acting with or showing care and thought for the future. Wise, cautious. Right, so we see Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, his judgments, beginning to ramp up. So the best thing we could do is not move as a wicked man, not move within the spirit of unrighteousness, so that we will be preserved. And it says, and hideth himself, right, in the truth. But it says, but the simple pass on and are punished. That's why we see the majority of our people still wanting to be the best basketball player, the best musical artist, wanting to start podcasts and become the ultimate podcaster, wanting to become the top streamer, the number one streamer, wanting to have all of the cars, clothes, and hoes, wanting all of these things. So that's them passing on, even though they see the dangers getting worse, the sorrows and the heat within America getting hotter and hotter, so to speak. They continue to ignore it and act like it's not happening, and therefore they are going to be punished with merciless judgments. Continuing on in Isaiah 26:20, and it reads, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain." Right, so the Lord is coming to judge this place. That's what we are foreseeing. And the signs of the Lord's coming are becoming more and more clear and more consistent. Therefore, us, as the hopeful elect, speaking to myself firstly, we got to be prudent and continue to operate within the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, to the best of our abilities, and continue to just lock in within this truth and shut the doors about us, which is locking the scriptures within our minds, that we may be able to endure and be protected when all judgment is released upon the earth. It says, "The earth shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain." So all of the wickedness within this place is going to be revealed. Everybody's bullshit is going to come to the forefront, and they're going to be judged, whether for good or for bad. The elect will be judged through the mercy of Yahushai, his blood covering them, and they're going to be judged with the judgment of Yahushai, being preserved just as he was, being saved just as he was, and the elect will be judged according to their work. Salakia, the 2/3 will be judged according to their works, according to their unbelief, and they will be judged as the wicked. Now, this is the book of Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1, and it reads, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful." Right, so separating yourself from the mindset, from the way of living, from the way of eating, from the way of, just operating, separating yourself from those who do not believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, from those who call upon Jesus Christ or Buddha or Allah, separating ourselves from them in all of the ways that they walk. That counsel is going into seeking advice, seeking answers, instruction.
This is Buick.
Our answer and our instruction comes from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. We are not seeking it from Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, or from the gods that have been created by the hands of man. Our counsel comes from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, and that's what a godly man's counsel is. It's of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. So the world, they seek counsel from, the 2/3 of Israel seek counsel from the world, but the elect, the 144, they have been called to take counsel in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, to stand in the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, and to sit within this truth, not to stand in the way of sinners and sit in the seat of the scornful, scorning the truth, because all of the lips of the scornful will be shut, it's going to be burnt with a crisp. It says in verse 2, "But his delight is in the law of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, for in his law doth he meditate day and night." That's us entering into the chambers, meditating upon the scriptures, which is us reading or us You know, just thinking upon scriptures, you know, us thinking upon the prophecies, the kingdom of heaven, the judgment that's soon to come. That's different ways that we can meditate within the law of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, aka enter into the chambers of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. And us continuing doing that up until the end is us shutting the doors about us, you know, sealing the doors about us, because that's us rehearsing the righteous acts, putting on as the elect. And only the elect will do that up until the end. And they will be those doors of that chamber, which is the truth of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, will be shut about them. They will be fortified. It reads right here in the book of Psalms, chapter 91 and verse 1, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Right, the secret place, which is the chambers, you know, the truth. It says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Right, so you're going to be protected. That's like somebody standing in front of you, protecting you from your enemies, and all you see is their shadow over you from them standing in front of you. You know, that's the Lord for his elect, for those who believe. It says, I will say of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, he is my refuge and my fortress. Now, when you go into the word refuge, it means a condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble. Shelter, sanctuary. Right, so it's going into a condition of being safe, you know, being in a safe place. It says, and my fortress. What is a fortress? When you look it up in the dictionary, it reads a military stronghold, especially a strongly fortified town fit for a large garrison. Now, the fortress is going into a safe location, a place to run to for safety, for protection. That's the truth. The wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, Yahweh Shai, that's our fortress. And our refuge is going into us being within that fortress, aka being safe, being protected within that fortress. It says he is my refuge, so he is my safety. The Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai is our safety and our place to run to be saved, to be safe. So he's, you know, they're our safety, and when we run to them, we are saved, we are protected, you know. So it says,
the thing about long-term relationships,
my power, in him will I trust. Right, so Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai is our power. You know, if your phone isn't charged, if you don't plug it up into the outlet, it won't turn on. And when we unplug from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, eventually we turn off, aka we die, because we are filled with sin. You know, as the battery is going down, that's equivalent to every percentage it goes down is another percentage we increase in wickedness when we're not plugged into Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. So us plugging our phones up is equivalent to us plugging ourselves into Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, being powered, charged through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, filling us with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So it says, my power in him, because, you know, that word is going into power. My power in him will I trust. Right, so I'm going to trust in him because his words are true and living. Because I understand that these things that have been stated will happen. So all we have to do is, speaking to myself firstly, believe in these scriptures up until the end and continue to work the righteous works to the best of our abilities. It says in verse 3, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. Right, so from the trap of the trapper, you're going to be delivered. The snare is going into the trap, and the fowler is going into the person that lays the trap, that lays the bait for you to be trapped. So when it from these false prophets, to Esau, Edom, the wicked king that's ruling the earth right now, to all of these other nations, all of the deceit, all of the wickedness, all of the traps that have been laid, ultimately to snare and trap the elect, they will fall, they will fail. We will be delivered, if we be of the elect, from every one of them. It says, and from the noisome pestilence. So from all of the dangers, all of the judgments that are going to be delivered upon the earth to these wicked people, the elect will be delivered from all of them. It says, he shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Right, his truth. And that's showing you that in verse 1, that secret place is the truth. It shields us, from all of the arrows that Satan shoots at us, to cause us to doubt, to cause us to fall low in the spirit, to cause us to curse, the Lord and die. All of the wicked temptations that are sent our way, the truth shields us from them. And that's the secret place. That's the shadow of the Almighty. It says he shall cover thee with his wings. When you look at eagles, and they protecting their young, they spread their wings out and hover over their children, they young, and they move, in a circle around the young, wherever the outside threat is, covering and protecting their young with their wings. The wings of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is going to fully encapsulate, fully surround the elect, and they are untouchable, unmovable, unshakable feathers. So us being encapsulated, us being surrounded within those feathers, aka the chambers of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, we will have nothing to worry about. And ultimately, the end all be all of the situation is the elect are already within those chambers. They are already under those feathers. They are already within the secret place of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, because ultimately they were chosen to be saved, to be delivered, and to abide within the truth, the chambers of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai up until the end, up until Yahushai comes back. So everything, is already predestined. We just playing it out, and speaking to myself firstly, we just got to continue to remember that truth and continue to endure. So I hope you brothers and sisters was edified and that I was able to bring this point out clearly. And until next time, Shalom.
Welcome to the kingdom. A kingdom of righteousness.